peace. All right, time for my first guest, and I'm really excited to have her with me tonight. Jodi Michelle Cutler is the co-author, along with her father, Stephen Cutler, of a baseball novel called Rally Caps, which came out back in 2007. It was a humorous, fun-filled baseball and camp story. It was, the lead character, or one of the lead characters, was a young man who had hearing difficulty. He actually was deaf, and he served as an inspiration for another teammate who was hurt, and really was an inspiring book. And the reason we're having Jodi on tonight is that book has been adapted into a feature film, which they are currently in production. Will star well-known actors such as Judd Hirsch and Amy Smart, among others. Curtis Pride, who used to play for the Detroit Tigers and who was also deaf. I believe he was the last ball player to be deaf actively, or active ball player to be deaf. So I'm going to talk to Jodi tonight about the novel, the inspiration behind the novel. It's based on true events, and of course, they've been filming upstate New York for the last 2 days. Jodi, welcome to BT Talks Baseball.
Hi, Brett. It's great to be here. I am extremely thrilled to be here and talk about the situation with you for a lot of different reasons. There's 360 degrees of amazing to discuss tonight. But before I go into it, I need to paint the picture of where I am right now. I am at Camp Scatico. I'm sitting outside of a cabin staring at the lake. There is a peacefulness and quiet that I don't know how long it's been since I've seen this. And every single actor, producer, and our director is staying here at this camp. No, the Wi-Fi is like close to existent. No televisions, no video games. We are taking it back to the day. We're going full on vintage.
Listen, that is awesome.
I want to set that scene for you because I want you to understand what is going on with this movie, Rally Caps. We're not just doing a baseball movie. We're doing a classic vintage scene mixed with technology.
Well, that is awesome. I'm just happy you have cell service so we could actually have this conversation.
I know I was a little worried, I have to admit.
And before we get started, what brought you and I together is actually, it's sort of a 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. It's actually just 2 degrees of separation. Your college roommate went to high school with me, and she reached out to me, and you reached out to me, and wondered if this was going to be a good fit. I'm like, a good fit? Let's do it Sunday night. So thank you to Wendy Amato, a friend to you, for me from many, many years ago, and for you for also many years ago.
Wendy was my roommate in college, and we had a lot of fun times together. So I'm giving a shout out to Wendy Amato myself. Thank you, Wendy. I love you.
I'll give a shout out to her, but she didn't talk to me in high school. She was way too cool, but that's okay. That's okay. Listen, we've come a long way, and obviously I didn't hold any grudges because I'm having her college roommate on talking about Rally Caps tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Jodi, really excited about this project. I know you are as well. Before we get to the filming and what you've been up to this weekend and the movie itself and how that came about, talk to me a little bit about the inspiration for the novel. You co-wrote it with your father, Stephen Cutler. Just tell me, let's go back, and when did this idea first come to your mind?
Well, basically, my father many years ago sent me a story. It was like a short story. He wanted to talk about this event that occurred in his life when he was young, and his coach was, they were doing batting practice for a Little League tryout, and he got hit in the nose with a baseball bat. And this little cute story that he wrote, I read it, and I'm like, you know what, Dad, this could be actually a book. It was a great beginning, camp story. And so from that moment, my dad literally, every time we spoke on the telephone, he would be like, Jodi, write the book. Jodi, write the book. Let's get going. And I was in Italy at the time because I had I married an Italian, had a baby. And 2 months after I moved to Italy, my son was diagnosed with profound bilateral sensory neural hearing loss. And they immediately put hearing aids on him, and he had to start going to speech therapy. So I was living that moment. I didn't speak Italian. They told me I couldn't speak in English to my son, and it was not an easy process. That was one reason why I did not learn sign language, because I couldn't. I was so overwhelmed with having to learn the Italian. Nowadays, that's not the case, but when Jordan was born in 1996, that was the situation. So back and forth. My dad, was still interested, and then what happened was my son, for that type of hearing loss, the best thing he could do was a cochlear implant. So we decided to go ahead with the surgery. He got a cochlear implant. And from that moment, it was like the world was switched on for him. He had access to sound. He had access to spontaneous language. I saw my son go from being a frustrated child to being an affectionate boy. eager to learn and listen and love. And that completely gave me the freedom to start thinking about writing that book. And I wanted to write that book to make my dad happy and make his dream of writing a book come true. And I also wanted to write that book to thank all of the medical professionals who helped my son learn to listen and speak. So my dad and I collaborated from Italy to Baltimore and then West Palm Beach, where he currently resides. And we just kept sending pieces of the book back and forth until the last part of the book. I happened to be visiting him in West Palm Beach with my kids, and we finished the book together, and that was a wrap for the book.
It's amazing. So you really took a short story that your dad had written. You folded in a very emotional and very personal your own life story, and it combined really nicely to make it sounds like it could be dramatic and sad, but it's really the book is a humorous, fun-filled baseball book with all of these serious issues in it. Am I correct?
Correct. A lot of times, children, characters with disability are portrayed as the characters you need to feel sorry for. They're the ones who are working through a problem or have to overcome certain things. In this book, it's the hearing character who has to overcome anxiety after being hit by a pitch, and now he's scared to play baseball. He meets a deaf character with a cochlear implant who, based on his disability, has overcome adversity, and he, based on his experiences, is the character that is going to help this child overcome his problems. So we are focusing on the ability and disability, perseverance in the face of adversity with a child with a disability to help the other children who don't necessarily live that experience.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing story, and it's amazing that you packed so much into a baseball novel. And I have to ask you, Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. appears in the book. How did that all come about?
Well, my dad is a huge fan. We're obviously from Baltimore. I mean, we're talking about Rick Dempsey doing the rain dance. We're talking about bottom of the ninth, the 3-out. Two out, bottom of the ninth, grand slams by like Al Bummery, and Cal Ripken was just an amazing part of me growing up. And my dad attended his baseball camps, and we were just a big fan because he always had a strong work ethic, and we believe that his ability to convey that work ethic was just incredible. So he's definitely an exceptional role model for children and even adults everywhere.
Talk to me a little bit about the title of the book, Rally Caps. That's obviously not just something you pulled out of thin air. Now, Rally Caps to me and many other Met fans hit home with 1986 postseason. Rally Caps, the players themselves, the fans, everybody was turning their caps inside out, turning them backwards, turning them sideways. A lot of different versions of Rally Caps. What does Rally Caps mean in this situation with your book?
All right, I'm going to give you a little history to that title because I went to day camp too, and I went to sports camp, and then after many years of being a sports camp camper, I became a sports camp counselor, and there were a couple other counselors there, and they were really hot, and I had this huge crush on one of them, and one of them was an amazing Mets fan, so he was the one who led with the rally caps, and I love the rally cap situation, turning inside out, turning around, and that's where that came from. And we all love an incredible come from behind victory. My child has come from behind against all odds, and he is now 25 years old. He went to college, he's working. Not only does he speak Italian, he speaks English, he's bilingual. And for everyone out there who has an incredible story that comes from behind, that's why that title, Rally Caps, can be so important.
What is it like for your son? Obviously now he's old enough to be able to, obviously I'm sure he understood at the time what you were doing, but now that he can look back and realize that, this character is based on him and your experiences in many ways, what is his feeling about it? I mean, this is, when you write a book about, even though it's a novel, it's based on, true events, and it's all about him basically. What's his take on all of it?
Well, the first time Jordan read it, he was 11 years old. And I actually wrote the book because I am a huge, I love reading books. And when I was growing up, it was a really important part of my life, especially when my parents were divorced. I read books, and it took me to a different place. And I saw people overcoming adversity through literature. And when I created that character within the novel, I wanted all deaf children with cochlear implants to have a reference point in literature. My son, when he read the book and he saw the part where, the hearing character calls the deaf character Deaf Boy, my son came to me and he's like, I hate it when people call me deaf boy, as if it's an insult.
Mm.
And just the ability for him to have that conversation with me, and the ability for others to read that situation, makes stigma, uh, it removes the stigma, because anytime there's a situation where there's stigma, it's because people don't have all the information they need. So when you read a book that gives you the information you need, especially for children who are actually more sensitive these days, which is what we're finding out from the cast members here, with what's going on here in New York, it's just unbelievable. You're helping a kid, and that is the purpose that the book was written, and that is what my son got through reading that book.
And I think that's amazing. I think, as you said, kids are very. It doesn't make a difference, what era we're talking about. They're very, sensitive about a lot of different things. This is obviously a serious life situation, and I think that you certainly, and I mean this in the most positive sense, you certainly humanize the situation and have fun with it, and it's framed around baseball, and I think that is what makes it so approachable.
Baseball is America's great pastime. It's not just by chance. It literally, you can learn so many life lessons on a baseball field. You learn about teamwork, friendship. You learn about cheering someone up when they're going through a difficult moment. How many times have we gone through slumps when we're batting? Those slumps are what we go through in life. And we always find a way to get out of a slump. And especially when we have people around us who are patting us on the back, giving us high fives, that's what life's about.
Absolutely. And we're talking with Jodi Michelle Cutler, author of Rally Caps, which has been adapted to a movie. Lead character is a young deaf ball player who serves as just an inspiration to everybody. Jodi, I have so much more to talk to you about. I'd love to keep you around for another segment. Are you good with that?
Of course. I'm chilling out at the lake right here. Got some peace and quiet going on at Camp Scatico, upstate New York. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, because we got to talk about things like Nutella, right?
Oh my God, definitely.
It's my daughter's favorite. All right, we will be back in 60 seconds with Jodi Michelle Cutler. Right now, let's take 60 seconds to hear from 915 Construction and Design. 915 Construction and Design and Handyman Express have been serving Long Islanders for decades and are dedicated to providing customers with the highest quality work and overall customer service. From planning your job to making the final touch-ups, you'll experience the gold standard of home repairs and renovations. No matter how big or small your project may be, their talented and experienced contractors and handymen are prepared to take on the job. Whether you need to have them hang a picture frame, fix a faucet, or completely renovate your bathroom or kitchen, by calling 915 Construction and Design and Handyman Express, you can trust that your home or business is in good hands. Reach out today at 915cd.com or call 516-924-2400. 915 Construction and Design, home to Handyman Express. Proud presenting sponsors of BT Talks Baseball. And welcome back to BT Talks Baseball, presented by the aforementioned 915 Construction and Design, home of Handyman Express. I'm just really fortunate to be speaking with author Jodi Michelle Cutler. Her book, Rally Caps, came out in 2007. She co-wrote it with her father, Stephen Cutler. Jodi, we've talked a lot about, the inspiration behind the book and some of the messages in the book. But, the book came out in 2007 and it is now 2021. And you are chilling, as you said, to use your word, by the lake in upstate New York because you've been filming over the weekend. This book has been adapted to become a film. Talk a little bit about first how that happened before we get into the nitty gritty of the actual filming. How did this book go from novel to film?
Okay, as persistent as my father was about making the book, you can multiply that by like 100,000. That's how persistent he was about making it into a movie. Because every time someone read the book, they'd be like, oh, this would be a great movie. And my dad got this idea in his head and he never let it go. It was his dream. And now it's becoming reality. He found a director, Lisa Pola. Lisa Pola is just unbelievable. He's sensitive to every single aspect of the film. It has become, he's invested emotionally in this film in a way that my dad and I are. And it's just incredible. He adapted the book to a screenplay. He made the book even more profound with the script. And so we are just so blessed and amazed to have this director who is extremely talented and has been following every aspect of this production as if it were his own child. And that's how that went from A to B.
And when was that? What year did because I know obviously these things take time. What year was everything set in motion to make it a film?
Well, my father like would send the script to like Disney, to all these places, and it took about 10 years for him to go through all of that. And then Lee, let's just say they started getting really serious about it in about right before COVID hit. So that we're talking probably January 2020, and he just we were like going through the motions, starting to hire people, and then we're like, we're not going to be able to do this because of lockdown, this and that, and COVID. So basically, it was kind of put on hold. We were going to start filming last year around May, but that was put on hold. And then suddenly, everything started coming together again in January 2021. And that is when Lee started sending the script out with some of the producers, and Judd Hirsch read the script, and Amy Smart read the script, and quickly they both signed on and were extremely enthusiastic about the project. And it was like, from that moment, one miracle after a miracle has been occurring with regard to this film. There's a list, like I've been like writing them down on the side. Some I can talk about, others I can't. One day I will discuss all of them, but it is just seriously, this film is magic. Everything that touches it is magic. And I just feel extremely fortunate that now all of these children will be able to see themselves in film and not just in a book.
Well, listen, the day you could tell all the stories, you got to promise to come on to this show, and that's where you got to tell them because,
okay.
Unless, of course, Jimmy Fallon or somebody call, but that's all right. How
no,
did this?
No, definitely right.
Does Wendy Amato know Jimmy Fallon as well? Because she might go straight to him.
She doesn't, but I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be cool.
Definitely look at it. His audience is a little larger than mine, although tonight, I probably got both my parents listening, and hopefully you have some people listening as well. So we're all good.
I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I know you're joking, but I'm just going to say that when I talk about hearing loss and the cochlear implant, I've always said if there's just one family listening and they know that everything will be okay and all the possibilities that exist nowadays because a cochlear implant transforms the way a child hears more similarly to someone who is hearing, then that's all I need. Literally one person. So think about how many people you help every night with your talk show.
Well, I think I can go on record as saying I don't help anybody. I haven't helped anybody until tonight. Hopefully you're going to help somebody because, we'll just listen. I do my thing here, Jodi, and if it helps anybody, it gets them to 8:00. Okay.
And so, that's already good.
How did all right, well, I want to talk about this weekend and what you've been doing upstate at the camp, but I have to ask you how Judd Hirsch and Amy Smart got involved. Those are not small names.
No, our producer managed to send the script. They love the script. Judd Hirsch said that he has always wanted to do a baseball movie. And the thing that he loved about our script was that it had an incredible beginning, an amazing middle, and a phenomenal end. And he was all on board, and he loves kids. He was just so nice and amazing. And Amy Smart, the same. And Amy Smart plays me. Just saying.
That's awesome.
Okay, let me just tell you, when I saw the sizzle and I saw Amy Smart and Judd Hirsch act a scene out of the book, part of that I wrote, the tears were flowing. I mean, like, who gets to live that? The whole thing is shocking, really.
Wow, that is pretty awesome. And there are a lot. I like Amy Smart. She was one of my favorites on The Office, as been many other roles, obviously. But that's awesome because you have two really big names. But I know that the biggest names are not big names at all. It's all these kids. And talk to me a little bit about what this weekend was all about, from start to finish. As succinctly as you can, because I'm sure we could talk for the next 4 hours about this weekend. But you started filming. Was it yesterday or Friday? When did you start filming up there?
We started filming on September 9th, and I'm going to give a little spoiler. Okay, let's just say we started filming with a milk chugging contest. And if there's ever any way of breaking the ice for children, it's stick them in the chairs and watch two kids chugging little plastic bottles of milk, and chocolate milk and white milk. And it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. So everybody just got on one team, even though they're two separate ones. They all just had a great time. So if I'm telling you they're filming all day, going to school, and then suddenly we're all eating dinner in the mess hall food. I mean, we're getting through that and it's okay. But after dinner, and what we do is I have to drive around a little golf cart through the entire camp because it's so big, so you can't walk the thing, especially at night. It's literally pitch black with no lights around. So I'm moving along in the golf cart because somebody needed something in one of the cabins. I pass by like an indoor structure and I hear these screams and like balls slamming. And it's about 9 o'clock at night. I walk in, I see kids sweating, running around, throwing the dodgeball. They're literally playing Greek dodge at 9:30 at night with all of the teams together, masked, obviously, but they're being kids, and it's an unbelievable feeling what's going on right now, and I just feel so incredibly lucky to be part of it.
It's awesome. I mean, they obviously boundless energy and just a lot of enthusiasm around the project. How involved or how difficult it was? Maybe. Well, okay, we'll do involved and difficult. I know you were involved in the casting, but when you were casting the main characters, obviously it's a very personal thing for you. It hits home very close. How was that harder than casting the rest, or to be involved to watch those characters?
See, this is another magic miracle that occurred while casting because, first of all, Lee started the casting, and our main character who plays Jordy is Carson Mini-Ear. I'm just going to say his name is Mini-Ear. I mean, that's a little ironic, don't you think?
Mm.
And he actually was in Parker. He's with Justin Timberlake. Palmer, Parker. I'm in Italy, so please forgive me if I make that mistake. Palmer, I think it was. And he was a bully in that film, and Lee loved him and chose him immediately. And he has just been phenomenal. His mother, incredible. Their whole family has been involved. And then for me, the obviously the most important part was to find a child who could play the child with hearing loss. And my dad actually was friends with Curtis Pride. Well, the whole Curtis Pride thing goes like this. When I first found out about my child with hearing loss, I was in Italy. And when I came back to Baltimore, I went to a bookstore trying to find books in English about the situation. I picked up a book, opened it. It was called Choices in Deafness. And I opened to the page that talks about Curtis Pride's story and how he wore hearing aids, he learned to listen, and he learned to speak. He played basketball, went on a scholarship, and then became a Major League Baseball player, a deaf Major League Baseball player. And I'm literally reading that book with tears streaming down my eyes, thinking my son can do anything he wants to do and will be anyone he wants to be in his future. So Curtis Pride, for me, opened my world. Now, flash forward to a bunch of years later, and he does this wiffle ball tournament, and my dad decided to go volunteer in Florida. So he went there to volunteer. No other volunteers showed up. So my dad literally was lining the field, umpiring, and hanging out with Curtis, and they became friends. So years later, my dad, when we were casting, talked to Curtis, and Curtis has two children. One is Colton, and the other is Noelle. Colton has single-sided hearing loss. Noelle is bilateral cochlear implant recipient. So I was able to have their whole family involved in this movie, which from my family being involved, my brother is responsible for social media. He's doing an amazing job. I want to tell you something about that later. And my dad, of course, and the Pride family. It's just been an emotional experience watching them take over and become the live version of our book.
It's amazing. I mean, this is almost a leading question, but what does your dad think about all this that's going on?
Well, my dad, let me just tell you that my dad had some back surgery and a while ago, and he's had a lot of back problems since then. And he hasn't really left his house in Florida. So he's been handling and orchestrating all of the production aspects with the director for all of these years. And my dad took a plane and from West Palm Beach to Albany, got driven into camp, has been wheeling around in the golf cart. I saw my father run today for the first time, and I don't know how long he's been dealing with back pain. And for him, he's returned to when he was at camp, a little boy, and he is literally living his dream right now. So it's just, I'm telling you, what I am experiencing right now is nothing short of incredible.
It's amazing, and of course, folks can follow the progress of the taping, as well as seeing people blow enormously large Big League Chew bubbles on Facebook with Rally Caps the movie. Where else can they learn, or is that the best place for people to kind of to learn about the movie?
Well, Nikki is posting on Instagram, TikTok. We're posting on Facebook. Nikki started a rally caps challenge where basically you toss the ball up in the air. You got to turn your hat into a rally cap and then catch the ball, before it hits the ground. So we're trying to do all these fun things because we have all these incredible kids, and we're just really living the moment and returning children ourselves.
How great is it, Jodi, that this is really an entirely family affair for you? Whether it's your brother, your father, your son, you, it seems like it's almost. And I know there is some involvement in the Field of Dreams field as well, but I always think of that line, and I had Dwyer Brown on a couple of weeks ago, where he says, "Is this heaven?" And he says, "No, it's Iowa." And I'm sure you kind of live in that a little bit these days.
We totally live in that, and everything just seems to be serendipitous. We were filming today at the Pine Plains Rec Field, and literally everything looks so vintage. This painted blue building behind it has written Field of Dreams. So, I mean, from filming on the Field of Dreams to coming to film here in upstate New York at Pine Plains and being at Camp Scatico with Field of Dreams written on the back of that, it's literally one thing after another. Unbelievable.
Just amazing. Jodi, what's next? What's the timeline? What's going to be happening over the next weeks and months?
We have another week and a half here that we're going to be completing principal photography. Then our amazing director is going to edit it. And then we're reaching for the sky because we want as many people as possible to live and feel what we are creating with this film.
Well, it's an amazing story. The novel itself was such a great inspiration, and now to have it as a film, I hope when it comes out early next year, you will come back on and talk with us again about the release of the film. And I can't thank you enough for joining me tonight on BT Talks Baseball.
I can't thank you enough for having me. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to discuss important issues all in the world of baseball, because you know what? Baseball is magic, and it needs to return to that feel-good situation that we can all live and experience. And I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure, Jodi. Jodi Michelle Cutler, co-author of Rally Caps, which has been adapted to a film, and